The moment Obiora stepped into the gates of King's Leadership College, he knew something was different. The air smelled like money, not just wealth, but the kind of generational money that wore confidence like a suit and had accents polished by Swiss boarding schools. He swallowed. He was 17, a scholarship student from Umueleke, a small village in southeastern Nigeria. His father was a farmer who had never touched a computer. His mother still called a fridge freezer and thought Twitter was a bird noise. They had sold 3 goats and harvested yams early just to buy him a suitcase and a decent pair of shoes. Now, here he was, standing in a hallway surrounded by students who spoke in smooth, flowing British and American accents. They wore wristwatches that probably cost more than his father's entire harvest. "Hi, new guy," a tall boy asked, smirking. Obiora smiled nervously. "Yes, sir. I am new here." The boys laughed. "Wait, did you just say I be? Where are you from, bro? Nollywood?" More laughter. Obiora felt his cheeks burn. That was the first of many humiliations. They mimicked him. Every time he answered a question in class, someone would repeat it in a mock village accent. Some even recorded his voice on their phones and post on social media. One post read, "When your generator operator gets into college." He saw it, he cried, but he didn't go back home. He couldn't. His father had called him the light of the family. His mother said, "You go shine anywhere you dey. Just talk the one way you sabi. God go help you complete the rest." So Obiora kept showing up in class, in debates, in awkward conversations. He joined the public speaking club, even though people laughed behind his back, even though he lost every single school debate. One day, after another crushing defeat, he sat outside, staring at the school lake. His eyes were wet, but he wouldn't let the tears fall. That's when he met her. A girl, tall, dreadlocks tiled into a bun, skin the color of rich matcha. "You're not bad, you know," she said, sitting beside him. "You just sound different." He glanced at her. "Different is a polite word for funny, right?" She shrugged. Or maybe is a polite word for authentic. Her name was Zina. She was half Nigerian, half Ghanaian, and she had grown up in South Africa. She was different too, just in a way people respected. Zina became his first real friend. She helped him refine, not erase, his accent, taught him how to pause, how to breathe, how to own his story. "You don't have to sound like them, Obi," she said one day. "Just speak so they can feel you." Something about that stuck. And over the months, Obiora began to change. He still had the same deep voice, still carried the musical cadence of Igbo English, but now he used it like a weapon. His next debate, he didn't mimic their polished accent. He spoke like himself, but this time they listened. Obiora stood on the school's auditorium stage, gripping the microphone like it was the last branch before he fell. The crowd was bustling, teachers, students, even a few alumni. The National Youth Oratory competition was happening live, streamed to thousands across the country. His topic, the power of storytelling in Africa. He had practiced with Zina for weeks. Every word, every pause, every glance had been planned and perfected. But the nerves, they never listened to planning. He opened his mouth, and the moment his accent hit the mic, there was a ripple in the crowd. A few snickers, someone coughed loudly, trying to stifle a laugh. Obiora pushed through. In my village, stories were more than entertainment. They were bridges between generations. My grandmother never went to school, but she taught me history through firelight and fables. He spoke from his guts, from memory, from pain, from truth. By the time he ended, there was a strange silence in the room. Not applause, not cheers, just silence. And one sarcastic clap. Then someone yelled from the back, "That's cute, bro. Next time use Google Translate." Laughter erupted, loud, cruel. Obiora stared at the crowd, stunned. His chest felt hollow. He walked off the stage, trying not to run, trying not to cry. He didn't win. He didn't even place. But what hurt more was that what happened the next morning. His speech, clipped and mocked, was now a meme. A TikTok influencer posted it with the caption, "When the village champion enters the wrong competition." The video had over 3 million views in 24 hours. People laughed at his village English, stitched his face into comedy skits, turned his accent into punchlines. Even kids in his own school reenacted the speech with fake rappers and kerosene lamps, pretending to be Obiora the bush orator. He didn't leave his room for 3 days. Zina knocked. He didn't answer. He skipped meals, missed classes. He wanted to disappear. His father called. "We saw your video. We didn't understand much, but your mother cried. She said you looked like your grandfather. I'm proud of you, my son." That broke him. Obiora cried harder when he ever had. Obiora cried harder than he ever had. Not because of the video, not because he almost let people break him. On the 4th day, he did something wild. He went live on Instagram. Face bare, voice steady. "Yes, I'm the village boy who gave that speech. Yes, I sound different, but maybe, just maybe, different isn't the problem. Maybe it's the ears that need adjusting." He paused. "I'm not ashamed of where I come from. My accent is not broken. It carries history, culture, and rhythm. If that makes me a joke, then let me be the joke that speaks truth." The live hit 20,000 views in under 2 hours. Celebrities reposted. A Ghanaian poet tweeted, "This boy just turned ridicule into revolution." Obiora's inbox exploded. Zina sent just 3 words, "I told you." A week after his viral Instagram live, Obiora received an email that made his heart skip. Invitation to speak, Africa Youth Leadership Summit, from AYLS Executive Director. He read the message 3 times, then a 4th. They wanted him to speak. Him? Apparently, one of the organizers saw his viral video and said, "We need a voice like this, raw, real, relatable." Zina screamed when he told her. "You are not ready," she said dramatically. "You are over ready." Still, Obiora was terrified. This wasn't some school stage. It was an international youth summit in Nairobi, Kenya. Over 2,000 live attendees, live streamed across the continent. The speaker list included UN youth ambassadors, tech founders, and change makers. Obiora was the youngest and the only one who still shared a room with 3 brothers back in Umueleke. The night before his flight, his mother called. "When you stand there, just remember, your words don't need to be perfect. They just need to carry your truth." He didn't sleep that night. At the summit, the ballroom lights were blinding. Obiora stood backstage in a borrowed suit, watching a girl from Uganda talk about artificial intelligence and another boy from Egypt speak about climate law in French accent. Then it was his turn. As he stepped on stage, the MC whispered, "Just be you." The applause faded, the room went quiet, and then he spoke. "I was never taught to speak to crowds. I was taught to speak to people, sitting around fires under the moonlight, listening to my grandfather tell stories not from books but from bones, from soil, from soul." People shifted in their seats, heads tilted, phones went up. Obiora continued, "Some of you hear my voice and immediately think uneducated or rural. But I ask you, what if the way I sound is not a weakness but a window? What if my accent is not a joke but a map? A map to where I come from, to who I am, to voices that history tried to silence." You could hear a pin drop, even the camera crew paused. Obiora finished with a line that echoed through the hall. "They laughed at my voice, but that voice will tell stories they will never forget." Thunderous applause, standing ovation, people wept. An elderly woman from Ghana walked up to him after and said, "You reminded me of my father. He died thinking his voice wasn't good enough. Today, you gave him back his dignity." Obiora didn't know what to say. That night, the speech trended across East and West Africa. Hashtag flew, the village voice, Obiora speaks, accent with pride. CNN Africa reposted a clip. A South African university offered him a full ride for public communication studies. A publisher emailed him, "Have you thought of writing a book?" He called his father and said, "Papa, I think people are hearing me now." His father replied, "They were always hearing you. Now they are finally listening." 2 months after the Nairobi summit, Obiора's life felt like a dream, running faster than his legs could catch. His inbox was a wildfire. Event invitations, media interviews, school tours, podcast requests. People from different parts of the world wanted the boy with the village voice to speak on everything: education, culture, identity. And then came that email. Subject: TED Talk. Official invitation from TED Youth Lagos. Obiora dropped his phone. He sat on the floor of the dormitory and stared at the screen for a full minute, afraid to blink, afraid it would vanish. TED? The red circle, the stage where legends had stood, where voices reshaped words. "Zina rushed in. "You are ghosting my test. What happened?" He turned the screen to her. She screamed, hugged him so tight, he gasped for air. But later that night, when the excitement faded, the doubts crept in. What if I mess up? What if they laugh again? What if I'm not TED material? Zina looked him dead in the eye. "TED didn't call your accent. They called your voice. There is a difference." The theme of the event was roots and wings. Obiora spent nights under the fluorescent dome lights, writing and rewriting his talk. He wanted it to be more than powerful. He wanted it to be a shift, not just for him, but for every boy or girl who had ever been told, "Speak properly," or "Drop your local accent if you want to be taken seriously." When the day came, he stood backstage, sweating under his navy blue kaftan. He didn't wear a suit. He didn't change his voice. He didn't rehearse an accent. He came as Obiora Chinedu Nwosu, son of farmers, product of firelight stories, and now a TED speaker. He wanted onto the red circle. He walked onto the red circle. The crowd clapped lightly, respectfully. Then he began. My name is Obiora. I came from a place where names mean something. Mine means the heart of the people, but I wasn't always proud of it. He told the story, the mocking, the memes, the pain, then the rise. They said my accent was wrong, but it's the same accent that prayed with me when I was sick, that told me folk tales when we had no electricity, that called my name with love every morning before school. He looked straight into the camera. We've told a generation to shrink their voices to fit into colonial echoes. But Africa doesn't need echoes. We need new sound, real sound, unapologetic sound. If my voice makes you uncomfortable, maybe it's not mine. Maybe it's what we were taught to believe is proper. But I'm done performing to be accepted. From now on, I perform to be understood. The silence after his final word was electric. Then the room exploded, not just with claps, but with roaring standing applause. 3 weeks later, Ted uploaded the talk to YouTube. Within 24 hours, it hit 1.7 million views. A viral comment read, I watched this and heard my grandfather's voice. I wept. Thank you for reminding us we're enough. Another said, he turned what they mocked into a global message. This is what healing sounds like. And perhaps the most unexpected reply, a comment from that boy from King's Leadership College, the one who mocked him on day one. Obiora, I was one of the people who laughed at you. I see now how blind I was. Thank you for being brave. I'm sorry. Obiora replied with just 4 words. I hear you. Thanks. Ted had opened the gates, but Obiora, he wasn't walking through them alone. The fame came first. News outlets called him the voice that shook Africa. Podcasts and platforms from Canada to Cape Town featured him. He was invited to speak in Dubai, London, Ghana, but Obiora wasn't chasing stages anymore. He was chasing something bigger. Impact. It started with a DM. A girl from rural Borno messaged, I don't speak English like you, but I wanted to be a speaker too. Is it possible? Then another. A boy from northern Uganda wrote, they told me my voice is too deep, too slow. You made me think it might be special. Obiora sat on his hostel bunk that night and cried silently because he remembered what it felt like to feel unwelcomed in your own skin, to be told to scrub your sound until it resembled someone else. He thought, what if there was a place for voices like this, not polished, not posh, just powerful? And so the Village Voice Project was born. No capital, no fancy office, just a borrowed laptop, a cracked phone, and a mission. He started small, online workshop for rural kids, voice coaching, not to change their accent, but to help them own their stories. He invited grandmothers to share folk tales via WhatsApp voice notes. He trained teens to turn oral tradition into spoken word. He created mini podcasts in local dialects and subtitled them in English. He wasn't just giving a mic to the voiceless, he was reminding them they had voices all along. The world was just too loud to hear them before. 3 years later, Obiora stood on a TED global stage, not a local chapter this time, but the main stage in Vancouver. Thousands sat before him. Millions watched online. He was introduced as founder of the Village Voice Project, cultural storyteller, one of the top 100 most influential African under 30. But Obiora didn't smile because of the title. He smiled because Mama Ifunanya, an 83-year-old widow, from his village was sitting in the front row. She didn't understand the lights or the cameras or the red carpet, but when he started his speech with, "In Umueleke, stories are not written, they are remembered," she gasped and nodded and wept. Because her voice had made it here too. Obere ended that talk with a challenge to the world. Stop asking people to lose their accent to gain your attention. Start listening for the soul behind the sound. Then he added, "And to the boy out there, yes, you are the one they mocked for how you speak. Keep speaking. Someday your voice might build bridges where the silence never could." The crowd stood, not just clapping, cheering, crying, chanting. His voice didn't just echo through the hall, it echoed through history. Obiora never stopped. He built centers across rural Africa, created scholarships, published books, helped thousands reclaim their accents, their confidence, and their roots. And whenever he ended a workshop, he always said, "They laughed at my voice once, now they pay to hear it." And the room always erupted, not just in applause, but in hope.